I was sat on the chair in my private room in the hospital, thinking about the conversation me and the doctor just had. I remember it clear as day. It was quite warm outside. The sun was blaring through the window. All I could think about was what was said. The doctor told me maybe it's time we should start thinking about a colostomy bag. I couldn't believe this was coming out of the doctor's mouth. So there's me trying to do all these holistic ways, natural ways to healing. And all the doctor wanted to do was to remove my large colon and leave me with a colostomy bag for the rest of my life. So the conversation went with the doctor. Basically him telling me that the inflammation is too high. It doesn't seem to be reducing. It didn't matter how many steroids I was taking because I was getting intravenously done, and the inflammation just didn't want to reduce. So the doctor's first point of call, let's remove your colon. And because I've got pancreatitis, it would have been the whole colon. It couldn't have been just like a little portion of it. They would have had to remove the whole thing. Now I know about the gut being the second brain. And I know that it's not natural for you to remove your colon. So with these both things going through my head, there was just a outstanding decision that was weighing over the top of my head. I knew that my guts were my second brain, and it's not natural. But then if I don't get it removed, am I gonna need surgery later, emergency surgery, because obviously the inflammation hadn't gone, and it got that bad that my bowels got perforated. So basically they broke open and everything was leaking into my system, which potentially I could die. Now I know there's people out there who have had this decision and they've gone for the bag. And I know there's people that haven't gone for the bag and they've ended up in hospital with a bag anyway. But sitting there facing this decision, I had to ask myself, can doctors actually heal my UC? And this conversation literally made me think, no, they can't heal UC. All they want to do is put a bandage on a massive open wound. They don't want to get to the root cause. They don't want to know why this is happening. They just want to basically do the most easiest thing, which is to remove my large colon. Let me shit in a bag for the rest of my life. But oh, well, no, that wouldn't have actually cured my UC. That would have just meant I wouldn't have had a perforated bowel, because at the end of the day, I could still end up having problems, because when they take it out, there's still a little bit by your anus that doesn't come out. And you can still get colitis in that. Not just that, you could also end up having loads of other complications throughout the whole of time of having a colostomy bag around the open wound that never heals. Not just that, you could end up being on medication still for the rest of your life. In fact, you are going to be on medication for the rest of your life. So keep my colon, be on medication for the rest of my life. Remove my like be on medication for the rest of my life. These are the only two options that the doctor seems to give you. Which do you want? like, which one do you want? I'd much rather take my own path. I will heal this my own way. So I had two choices: follow the doctor's path or follow my own. So in that moment, I thought, fuck this shit. I'm not having my colon removed. I'm going to find the solution, and I'm going to keep going and going and going until I can heal naturally. And one of the first light bulb moments went off was when I found a video by Dr. Ken Berry. He was talking about autoimmune diseases and how the carnivore diet heals all these people with these autoimmune diseases. So I thought, this is interesting. Clicked on it, couldn't get enough of it. I literally watched one. I was like, right, sweet, that sounds like... Do you know when you have that moment where just things just... like everything seems to align into one thing, and you get a massive light bulb that goes off, and you think, that makes complete and utter sense. That is exactly what I felt like after watching that one video. But this left me feeling very, very pissed off with all of the nutritional advice I'd ever received up until this point. In school, you're told to eat this food and that food. Then your parents say, this is good for you, this is not good for you. Then I did personal training, and they said, this food's good for you, this one's good for you. In actual fact, none of it that I got taught was correct. Obviously, you've been told to eat lean meats, reduce the amount of fat you're having, reduce the amount of salt you're having. eat loads of fiber. And there was this diet that was promising me to get better that had none of this. So obviously there's still that bit of like, this is totally out there. This is something that I've never ever thought about. But yet, it made so much sense after watching that first video. Then, as it went on, I watched more and more videos by Dr. Ken Berry. Then I watched some about Anthony Chaffee. After I consumed that first video, that was it. I then went on a binging session to try and find out how to do the carnivore diet and how it can help me with my UC. As I said, I've now been in clinical remission for nearly, well, it is 23 months now, by using carnivore diet as the very foundation to healing. So I've removed all the fiber, removed all the seed oils, removed all the sugar. So after that light bulb moment of where I felt like this is the solution, I then spoke to my doctor when he come back in to ask my decision. I very politely refused. I was like, no thank you, I'm gonna try this. The doctor highly recommended I still went on other medication, just for the next however long to get into remission. And I felt like I was forced and really like pushed in that direction. I did not want to go back onto these biologicals, but because I knew I was gonna have a lot of stress in 2023, that's what made me decide I'll take them. But I didn't want to. I didn't want to go back on these harsh immune suppressants, not being able to do all the things that you're supposed to be able to do when, you know, you're healed. And that's go out in the sun. You're not supposed to be able to play with people because obviously you've got colds and flus and whatever else virus is going about. It's just not worth it. But they pretty much forced me to go on them. I know I obviously have got a lot of anger towards the medical system because they failed me. But to be fair, it's not their fault. They've literally been brainwashed into thinking that is the only solution. So don't ever think, you know, that these people have really got a lot of malice because they don't. They just make the wrong choices, and then as soon as they pass their qualifications, they don't think about learning outside of the box or about anything else other than what they've been taught in school. Because to them, that is the only solution, and to them, there's nothing else out there. Now, if you're sat there with the same predicament where your IBD specialists are telling you that removing your bowel is the best option, here is a bit of advice. Honestly, I think you should use the BRAIN acronym. B stands for benefits. What are the benefits to having my large colon removed? And what are the benefits to keeping my colon inside? R is for risks. So what are the risks towards me keeping my large colon inside or actually having it removed? Then A is for alternatives. So what can I do instead of having my large colon removed? I is for intuition. This when it comes down to your own gut feeling. Do you think it's the right call for you? Or do you not? Because at the end of the day, ultimately, it's your choice. They can give as much advice as possible on what they believe, but it's still down to your choice. What did you think would be the best option? Then the last one is N, which is nothing. What happens if I do nothing? If I don't have the surgery and I don't do this and I don't do that, what happens? And then once you've got all this information, don't make the decision right there and then. Go away. Leave it a day, 2 days, 3 days, and see how you feel. Weigh everything up. Go and research. Go and look into things. Start the carnivore diet. Loads of people have lost their colons making rash decisions because the doctor has told them that's the best option. And then you speak to them 6 months later, 12 months later, and they are fucking depressed. They are hating their life because they've got this stupid fucking bag on all the time that they're having to constantly empty. They're constantly getting infections. They're constantly thinking, why do I have this done? Because in actual fact, I'm not any better off now than when I was having flares. Now, if you want to heal a different way than what the doctors say, honestly, top link in the description is my 90-day protocol. It's everything I've learned over the last 12 years of me having UC. It's how to use the carnivore diet properly to actually heal UC, which foods are the best for actually doing what you want, which is basically heal your gut. thoughts, make you feel amazing, give you more energy. Then there's the mind-body connection and how you get over these traumatic events that are causing triggers and food triggers. So when you're eating this food, you automatically have a flare. Then there's the last bit, which is the exercise. Exercise is a massive thing for helping reduce inflammation, making you feel amazing, and giving you the energy to fight off this horrible, debilitating disease. Now, let me know in the comments below if this is the sort of content that you like, and if there's anything that you want me to maybe do in the future. But that's it for today, guys. Make sure you are using the BRAIN acronym when it comes to speaking to your doctor. I'll speak to you again soon.